The aha moment arise again?
Yeah, we got the realization moment. Yeah, I talked about it today with the players. Like, as the gold standard is our book for the year, and I kind of took that from USA Basketball when they go to the Olympic ceremonies and you're walking in and it's like, uh-oh, this is a really big deal. And sometimes that's too late for athletes. So I like when we have the leadoff banquet in January, a little bit earlier, just so, especially the new guys, the freshmen and the transfers and the junior college guys, that they can get on that stage and just kind of take it all in tonight. Because for those that have been here, they know this is a special night. It's really unique, and it definitely is the leadoff of the season.
Is gold standard your message for the season, per se?
Well, it's kind of ironic. That was the new uniform last year, and we seemed to do pretty well in that uniform, and it just led into, what we were hoping to do this year, and it's got great messages in the book, as we talk a lot about LeBron James and the late great Kobe Bryant and Coach K, and how they came together to do something special. The best basketball players in the world. We got a lot of really special baseball players. And so just one, helping them be their best, but two, realizing, you got to come together, you got to make some sacrifices, you got to ultimately do what's best to help this group win and go as far as it's able to go.
Coach, what do you want to have come out of Dalton and Adam talking to your players, and I guess just having them around the program too?
Yeah, anytime you put a big leaguer on stage, it's inspirational for those guys sitting there, because they're not that far. In one sense, they are that far, but in others, maybe they're not. And Duval is a full circle moment for us. We've had former Louisville Cardinals on stage, Tristan Magnuson and Sean Green, but when Duval went on stage, it was about 11 years ago. He debuted in 14. It was Duval, Dominguez, and Marks. We went on a string. We kind of set a tone of, hey, every year we're going to try to put our own on stage, and we've done that. And so, Dalton going on stage now, you could ask him, he would talk about, who was, I think Will Smith might have been on stage when Dalton was a student athlete here. And so those guys remember, and so as we, hate to say close the book on Adam, because I don't know if his career is officially over, and I talked to him about playing in Japan and other options, but getting inducted into our Hall of Fame this fall, having an unbelievable big league career, being the first guy in a decade run of former Louisville Cardinals going on stage, we just felt like it's a full circle moment. And then Dalton is what we've been doing for the last 10 years. When those guys make it to the big leagues, man, we're all excited. We congratulate them. We give them about 24 to 48 hours, and then we send them a text saying, hey, and by the way, we'll see you at the leadoff banquet. Make sure your family knows we're putting you on stage. So it's exciting, because it seems like yesterday Dalton was, running around playing for us.
What are those moments like for you as a coach when you find out that, those guys have gotten the call to the big leagues?
We're like proud papas, and I don't ever want to act like I got a lot of love for guys that didn't make it to the big leagues, and a lot of guys, AA, AAA, and if that's as far as they made it, man, I love them as much as guys that make it to the big leagues. But the guys that make it to the big leagues, for them, it's a moment that they've been working on since they were little kids. We feel like we were just a part of that process. Obviously, as you'll hear tonight, we talk about our standing ovations and people you recognize for helping you get where you want to go. It's a celebration for their families. We don't always go to their debuts. We like to let their family be there. We've been at a few debuts, but it's more about, hey, we're proud of you, and we'll come see you here soon. Let your family and everybody enjoy this, and you feel like it's an accomplishment of the program, the coaches, their teammates, the support staff. It's really a celebration for a lot of people.
And going back to the gold standard, you obviously have a book that you tie with every season. Why do you feel like it's important to have that reading material attached to, the baseball side of things?
Yeah, the mental part of the game is big, I think, in all athletics. For me, I go back to, it was the first coaching book I read in 1992, and the great Lou Holtz had said that the two things that'll change you are the books you read and the people you associate with. And so I had a legendary coach who was in the Hall of Fame, and I got to play in the College World Series, and he had a degree in psychology, and he would read to us, like physically. You'd sit in your locker after practice, and he would read from books. And I remember being that age thinking, I don't really like to read, and I don't really know if I have time to read. So you know what? I had a coach who did it for me. I feel like I can do it for these kids. And so putting a quote on the practice schedule every day, going through a chapter 1 week at a time, going through the book the entire fall, making the freshmen or challenging the freshmen to, they have to summarize the book over the winter break, and we share those messages. Each freshman gets a chapter, and then we revisit, go back to the beginning in January. It's just, I do believe they love hearing about other great athletes and great coaches. And so in this case, you're talking about some of the greatest basketball players ever, the greatest basketball players in the world. They want to know. They want to know, what made them tick? Why were they so good? How did they come together? Especially in we've had 3 and 3, like 6 guys on Team USA the last 2 summers. That's a goal of several of our kids, and for USA basketball to kind of fall into 3rd place, 4th place, 5th place. I think we came in 6th place in one of the world championships. We invented the game of basketball. And for them to kind of regroup and say, okay, how do we get USA basketball to be? And I think baseball, we're dealing with a similar challenge. I mean, the world, I tell our kids all the time, the world is trying to play in the big leagues. Between the World Baseball Classic, the Olympics, it's harder, I believe, for an American-born kid to play in the big leagues. Why we take them, one of the reasons we take them to the Dominican every 4 years, so they see some of their future competition. And so, the pride of being in the United States, and of course, these guys that play for USA Baseball, I know it's something that they appreciate, and just trying to pour into them. But we do it when they go in the pro ball, we send a book in our gift box every spring training, and I'm always kind of, it's different in pro ball because I only get these guys for maybe 3 or 4 years. I can recycle books. These guys like Duval that play for 10 years, I have to come up with like 10 different books. So I feel like I start to run out a little bit, or I just got to be creative. It might not always be like a sports book or a coaching book.
Coach, you had talked a lot last year about your journey and your faith. I guess, can you talk about how that helped carry you last year, and where you're at going into this year?
Yeah, last year the word was transformation, and it's a popular time of the year because of New Year's resolutions, and so last year, as it dawned on me, and I thought a pastor summed it up. You hear a message on Sunday, man, you're convicted, but it doesn't mean you've changed on Monday or Tuesday. And there's nothing wrong with conviction, but real change is transformation. And it's why a lot of New Year's resolutions don't necessarily work, or they fizzle out. And so I was very clear with our coaching staff, with our program, what we had gone through. We had to transform. It wasn't about being motivated. It wasn't about working harder, maybe working smarter, a little differently, but we just had to transform. And transformation is not a month, and it's not a year. So I read the Bible last year, and I'm reading it again. And my groups have gotten bigger. My high school group, my college group, it's growing. And everybody who read it with me last year is reading it again. So it's just, you become what you read and who you hang out with. So just what am I pouring into my mind? Who am I associating with? I'm just trying to be my best version, obviously for my family, but, these families are trusting in me, these kids, these players, their parents. So I'm just trying to be my best version for them.
Kind of on that note, did you feel like the program went through a transformation last year, getting back to Omaha?
Oh, that was huge. I mean, and I give my coaches a lot of credit, but I also have publicly said, man, Patrick Forbes, Tucker Biven, Matt Klein, Zion Rose. I mean, there was a lot of guys that, stuck with us. Justin West, and you go down the line, Alex Alisea, again, Lucas Moore, and those guys kind of really dug in and said, no, I believe in this program, and I want it to have the success that we came here for. And so, yeah, that group, man, I've got so much respect for them. But I believe they learned some life lessons too. Like, life's going to get hard. Things are going to get tough. I'm not anti-transfer portal, but we're obviously not agreeing that every kid has to run just because you face some struggles or you're the backup or you're not playing as well. I mean, sometimes the healthiest thing is to just dig your feet in and fight through the tough times. But I'm also a believer in there are kids who do need the transfer for the right reasons, So I just, it's just part of it, and let's just see what the future holds.
Just speaking of that, you obviously lost some big pieces, but then get some big pieces back. What do you like about this team about a month away from the season starting?
Last year's group, and you give them a lot of credit, they really took ownership. I mean, they really set their commandments, what they were going to stand for. They had set a standard, and they held it. It's our job as coaches. Yeah, I know we're responsible, but they got to want to maintain a standard, and you hope it's not. You can't assume, but you hope that, and you really watched it this fall, that the returners, Wyatt, Daniel Levitz, and T.J. Slotgator, and that group of older pitchers, along with obviously the guys getting all the attention, Zion Rose and Alisea and Moore and Tate Davis and them. All right, there's a reason, especially for the Zions and the older players. They saw when we struggled, and I thought we were really close that year. I hated that team didn't get in the postseason because I thought we could have done some real damage. And then they saw getting over the hump last year. So just maintaining a standard, holding everyone accountable. This year's phrase is own it. They want you to be able to own it. Yes, there's an expectation, championship reps, but you have to be able to own it. And that, obviously when you do well, but when you fail, physically, mentally, whatever it is. So my job is trying to pour into the leaders, and I like what I see at least right now. But I always tell the kids, you really don't see it until the springtime. You really don't see it until you get knocked to the ground. You really don't see it until tough times hit, And so our program has become, accustomed, or I like to think we're prepared and ready when tough times hit.
You mentioned the players from last year's team who helped to try and dig deep and get the standard back to where it is. How are some of the returners from that team helping to maintain the standard heading into this new season?
Yeah, we turned to them right away, and when we voted for team captains, we have had a new guy become a team captain for the past few years. Well, this year it was all returners. This year, just older players, guys that have been here. They had a lot of respect, and I challenged them. We have to connect, right? I think that's the challenge. It's always been a challenge in the sports world, but as rosters are changing and a lot of faces are coming and going, we have to make sure we connect right away. And that's by communicating. That's by, again, letting them know what our standard is. And they've done a good job. Like I said, I'm pleased to this point. But, you don't face a ton of struggles in the fall and in the winter. So you don't get to reap those benefits until springtime when you go through. And sometimes you can go through good times, and those can be challenges too. Because I always say winning will mask your deficiencies. So you can be winning an awful lot and maybe cutting corners, not addressing areas you need to address, maybe making some decisions that you shouldn't be making, And so I'm on them. Win or lose, I'm kind of challenging them about the standard and take what we learned from last year's group. What was so impressive, too, about last year's group, not just those returners that we give a lot of love to, but it's hard to not look at a Kamayu Neighbors, a Jake Monroe, a Garrett Pike, guys that kind of came here with some uncertainty and a couple tough years, and to hear them say, I'm not afraid of that. if anything, they embrace that challenge. So as much respect as I have for the Forbes and the Bivens and all those guys, man, I think of that group that came off the street, went on the outside looking in, we're like, man, wait a second, that program's a little different than it's been the last decade. And when you hear Jake Monroe and you hear those guys talk about it, they kind of took it personal even themselves. Like they had a chip on their shoulder as to just maybe feeling like we were getting disrespected, and they wanted to get the standard back up. So obviously it was a special year, and you try to take as much as you can from that.
Coach, who are the team captains that were voted on?
Wyatt Daniel Levitz, Peter Michael, and then you have Zion Rose and Alex Alisea. So, you got 2 position players, 2 pitchers, 2 juniors, 2 seniors. So guys that have been in this program a long time. And I know in the college athletic world, there are enough of those guys. They don't get enough attention maybe as they should. The guys who seem to transfer seem to get a lot of attention, and I guess it's interesting to fans and reading, but for me it's about the rocks. It's about the guys that have been here, especially those guys that gone through a tough time or two.
In this day and age of college athletics, baseball, football, basketball, whatever it is, retention is really hard, especially for your best players. What has been the key, do you think, to keep those rocks here?
Well, you gotta help them in all areas, right? We know that there's an NIL financial piece, so you gotta do everything you can to just show them that, hey, you love them, you support them, you value them, and sometimes that's not necessarily us valuing them. It's the supporting cast, it's the fan base, it's the community, it's the athletic department. Like, yeah, we value the heck out of them, but if they're not getting the financial support that's needed, and so you have to check those boxes there. I'm most proud of, I think, when the kids get here and they feel the love, they feel the coaching, they feel the structure, they really feel themselves getting better. They say, you know what, this is the best place for me. And I think Dalton Rushing is an awesome representative of our program. I tease Dalton because if he was in our program in this day and age, would we have been able to keep him? Because he'd have been sought after. He'd have been recruited by other schools. He was behind Henry Davis. He was splitting time with Jack Payton. He was catching 50% of the time. He was DH and he was playing first. It wasn't like he was the chosen one and he just sat behind home plate for 3 years. And he had to fight and he had to grind. And now, was that the best thing for him? Yeah, I think he would admit that was the best thing for him. But if he was a college student athlete now, there's just so much tug and pull on those guys. And come here and we've got greener grass and we've got more cash and we've got this and that. And it's really challenging on kids. And we don't know what the next 10 years hold. So we're not acting like it's not good for some, but for the Tom Brady's and for the Dalton Rushings, there's a lot that by going through the tough times they were at, fighting for their job, not making it easy on them, help them in the long run. And as Adam Duvall would say it, we talked about it at lunch today, like, you're fighting your tail off to get to the big leagues, but as soon as you get to the big leagues, you're fighting your tail off to stay in the big leagues. So you're always fighting, you're always faced with that adversity, and we feel like that's always been a good ingredient in our program. We've always had that healthy competition, especially with the catchers. Like when we say we're catcher U, it's because every catcher was part of that, like quarterback room, we call it. Very few catchers ran in here as freshmen and just rolled. Henry Davis caught a lot as a freshman, maybe more than most. But, Will Smith was behind 2 seniors that were in Omaha the year before when he got here. And so the same for Dalton Rushing and Jack Payton and all those other guys. So, we just be who we are, love on these kids, help them be their best, hope the kids want to be there here, hope their families trust us, and but just don't be immune or caught off guard. Like, it's just, this is the world we're in right now, so anything can happen at the end of any season.
Kind of on that note, you brought Aaron Flaker on to kind of help spearhead NIL Dugout Club. How's that, obviously, it's still kind of early in the process, but how's that working?
I mean, it's huge. It's like my top donors and people that love on the program. I love them and I try to connect with them, but am I great in that area? Probably not great, because I'm trying to coach the kids, and that balance of, showing love and support for the people that love on your program. But man, I got to help this kid get better, and I got to focus on him and how am I motivating him. And so Aaron is he's perfect for our program at this time. One, because of all of his support for the athletics, his love for the universities and alumni, but he's been close to our baseball program. He helped us start the Dugout Club. He designed the flyer. We came up with all these levels. He and his family helped us do the pro locker room. So they've been involved in our program. Now it's just like, hey, let's make this formal. Let's put a hat on you, and man, let's walk around with our logo and say, hey, I am representing Louisville baseball, and we need your help. And with his personality and connection, I've always said, if you get to know our program, if you get to know our players, it's easier to want to get involved. I don't ever want to act like it's easy. I got a lot of respect for people that give their time and their money to our program. But if you get on the inside and you get a feel for these kids and what they're about, and Aaron's going to be able to do that. He knows so many people. He's respected by so many people. He's just going to get more people on the inside, get more people in our dugout to see what we're all about and go, yeah, I'd love to help that program.
Just going off of that, obviously ref shares a big thing right now. How has that maybe trickled down to the baseball program, and how that, I guess, is divided up?
Yeah, I mean, we're coaches, right? We never have enough. We want more. But when you're in college athletics for 33 years, I don't know if it's changed. 33 years ago, football, basketball, I mean, you can't take that personal. That's just a fact. Football and basketball is paying for all the bills for the most part, and that really hasn't changed. So when you have a lump sum of money, you understand the majority of it is going to go to those two sports. So, I don't ever want to make excuses. Do we want more? Yeah, we want more. But do we have enough to win a national championship? We hope so.
All right, everybody good? Thanks, guys.